Hey there, HEXO traders and investors. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. In this video, going to be going over, by popular request, HEXO's expectations for their Q4 earnings, their year-end earnings as well. And we're going to go over the analyst estimates. It's tentative for October 28th. We'll want to see official confirmation from HEXO as per usual, but getting a lot of questions about this and what to expect, if this is really going to move the stock. Also, a lot of confusion about the date. So I wanted to come on and give my thoughts and opinions. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, and you'll be notified on any future updates or when I go live. Today is Saturday. It's October 22nd, and we're anticipating earnings for the 28th, like I mentioned. But I do want to just go over the analyst estimates, and I'm not expecting a huge move either way from these earnings. Personally, I think they could be a little bit bearish, so I'm not expecting a huge move from the stock. And we know that the S&P 500 is still very weak. We know that the interest rates and the Fed hasn't really pivoted yet in terms of jacking up interest rates. We can't really see any end in sight just yet. And we do have the November 8th elections coming up as well. I do think the end of the year is going to be very, very good for the rest of the market, the broader market, and MJ, where we could potentially see the Republicans take the House. And again, I'm not trying to get political. I just want what's best for MJ, but this could actually accelerate some reform, either safe banking, uplisting to the NYSE, NASDAQ, descheduling, and that would obviously bode well for MJ stocks. And like I said, if we do get that lame duck session, we could see a huge move in the space leading into the end of the year, lining up well with a broader market rally. But with that being said, I do think that we could see one more potential leg down in the S&P 500, which would be headwinds for HEXO and the MJ space as a whole. But again, we need the whole market to reverse, and that's why I'm not too concerned about these earnings coming up. I think that November, December is going to be extremely good for the broader market and MJ, and that could bode well for HEXO. And we have earnings coming again in December. And then what I'm really going to be interested in is those December earnings and then the first earnings report in 2023, because that lines up well with a potential reversal in the MJ space. And any pump that we do get, even if it is a positive reaction, we're not going to see the pump last, right? It's just going to pump and dump. It's going to fade, because if the broader market's still weak, if the rest of the sector is still weak, we need that catalyst, and that catalyst is going to be safe banking, descheduling, and uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. And like I said, if if there's a lame duck session, which just means that there's a transfer of power, if the House or the Senate is taken over by Republicans, that may motivate the Democrats to really push some reform along. Before we get to it, though, I did want to mention the video that I did on fellow YouTuber Daniel Pronk. He revived the bankruptcy FUD. I did a video on that. It's got quite a few views on there, and he actually did go and change the name of his video. So obviously, what we did didn't go unnoticed. And like I said, I'll call out anybody who doesn't present all the facts. And if you're going to make a claim that a company is going to go bankrupt, you better do proper research and due diligence and present all the facts. So pretty cool to see that he changed the name. It said 3 stocks that will go bankrupt, and now it says, I forget the exact name, but it was something along the lines of what to look for, or 3 signs that a company or a stock is going to go bankrupt. So kudos to everybody in the community who made that happen. And like I said, if anybody does see any other YouTubers or anybody like that saying information that is just false, let me know, and I'll be the first to correct it. One thing I did want to mention as well real quick here, I'm going to be going into vacation mode once again. My brother is on the way here from the East Coast to the West Coast, and he's going to be staying with me for about a week, so I should get back to my regular routine mid next week, probably Thursday or Friday next week. But again, these are the year-end earnings and the Q4 earnings, so this is going to be for the period ending July 31st, and you can see here on HEXO's page, on their website, it says financial statements are due by October 29th. And if we just take a look at investing.com, this is usually what I refer to. If you just go to investing.com, put in the ticker, go down here to financials, then click on earnings, you can see here we have the analyst estimates. So they're pretty bearish at the moment. So again, I'm leaning bearish. It does say October 28th. And if we go over to TradingView, it says October 28th as well. So I'm of the thinking that it's going to be on the 28th. And again, we'll want to see official confirmation from HEXO management as always. But the EPS forecast is negative 0.0675, and this is the Canadian side. And forecast for revenue is 44.3 million. In terms of the US side, they're expecting 34.486 million and negative 0.053 US dollars. So that's in USD. This is in Canadian. What I'm going to be focusing on is the Canadian dollars and the Canadian side of things, because that's what they report in. So again, we're expecting negative 0.0675 for EPS, which should be a lot better than the previous quarter. We know that Charlie Bowman said that they've taken all the impairments. Every sale is now profitable. They do expect EPS. They're expecting cash flow positive over the next 4 quarters, is what they said. But that was a few months ago when they finalized the Tilray deal. So it could be another 2 to 3 quarters. Again, that lines up with why I'm bullish with December and then into the first earnings report in 2023, because we could see cash flow positive at some point, more than likely, in my opinion, halfway through 2023. Maybe toward the end of 2023. But again, that also lines up with a broader market rally and then a rally and a reversal in the MJ space as well. But if we look at last quarter's revenue, it was $45.57 million, and that was a pretty big miss from the analyst estimates of $52.2 million, and they're only expecting $44.3 million, which is a decrease, quite a big decrease from not only the reported revenue from last quarter, but the estimate. But that being said, it wouldn't take a whole lot to see a beat. But again, I'm not holding my breath, because we know that anything that, any positive reaction likely is going to be short-lived. It's likely not going to it's not going to stand, because if the whole sector, the broader market's weak, we get those headwinds, and if the rest of the sector's still weak, it's not going to last, right? It's going to pump and then it's going to fade. So again, I'm not too concerned about these earnings. I'm more focused on the December ones and then the first one into 2023. Again, hopefully that lines up well with the broader market and an MJ sector reversal. Also, something I wanted to mention as well, we know that Charlie Bowman, he's been more active with the interviews lately. And, he was just getting into his role, not making excuses. I was a little bit let down that HEXO didn't do an earnings call last quarter for their earnings. So that was something that I was surprised about. I was surprised that we didn't even see any communication from management on that. So this is something that I hope they pick up the slack here this quarter, and it's the year end, so I think we should see an earnings call, but we also should hear from Julius, their new CFO, and I'm very excited to hear from him, because we haven't heard from him yet, haven't even heard him speak, but we know that Charlie Bowman has been pretty active as of late. So I think that the odds of an earnings call are very high and likely, because of the fact that it's the year end, but going to be extremely interested to hear from those two. Also, that was for period, again, it's for period ending July 31st, but we know that Tilray missed on their previous earnings as well, both on EPS and revenue. So again, that's another reason why I'm leaning bearish for these earnings for HEXO. And something that we know as well is that September, Tilray took market share from HEXO as per Highfire data. So again, this is for September, and the year end, this period is going to be for July, so it's not really that pertinent, but again, it's just something to be aware of. And then we also had new MJ Ventures came out with Canadian MJ sales in August show slowest annual growth to date. Again, it's for the period ending in July. So again, not really pertinent to this, but again, just something to be aware of. Also, HEXO monthly volume is starting to ramp up. Back in July, we had almost the highest record monthly volume. The previous before that was in November. So we are starting to see the volume tick up, and usually volume precedes price. But again, we know that we can't confirm a bottom. Nothing has changed. We can't say that the bottom is in, or we're entering a new bull market, or the bear market's over until we confirm monthly uptrends. We've seen weekly uptrends confirmed before, and then we drop to a weekly lower low. What we need to see is monthly uptrends confirmed. So what I want to see is a monthly bounce, a higher low, and a higher high to give us that monthly trend change. That'd be the first time in a couple of years, and that, in my opinion, is going to be what signals the bottom in MJ. The more names that confirm monthly uptrends, the better. But again, we need something like that sector-wide catalyst, which is going to be descheduling, safe banking, and potential uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, right? That's going to ignite the whole sector. And if we do get descheduling, we were talking about this today, that Jones Soda, they just released a new tall can version of their Mary Jones soda, and it's a 100 milligram option. And again, it's just a signal of what's to come. If Mary Jones or if Jones Soda and their Mary Jones soda is getting into the space, it just goes to show the confidence that they have in the likelihood that we're going to see some positive reform. And as we know, PepsiCo trialed Rockstar Hemp in Germany almost 2 years ago now. So if PepsiCo trialed in Germany, it's likely just a matter of time before they get into the space. And again, we usually see the smaller names get into the space first as a type of foreshadowing and a hint of what's to come, and then PepsiCo. And once the smaller companies start to get in and then we get descheduling, I think there's going to be mass entry from large CPG players into the space because it's not going to have that stigma anymore, right? We can't have it as Schedule 1 or the same as heroin, right? Just wouldn't make any sense for these big conglomerates to get into the space. And if PepsiCo gets into the space, as we know, Coca-Cola would likely enter the space as well. We know that Coca-Cola has 2 alcohol drinks with Molson Coors partnership. So they have the Topo Chico hard seltzers and they have the Simply Spiked lemonade. They also have Coke coffee now. So if they can have coffee and then they can have 2 alcohol drinks, surely they can add some CBD to their drinks as well, which would actually have medical benefits. And again, if Molson Coors is partnered with Coke on 2 alcoholic beverages, and Molson Coors and HEXO are partnered with Truss, it would only make sense that Truss would likely make those drinks as well. But in terms of the weekly MACD, we're still bullish on the MACD, and we have been for a couple of years now, going on it was 2021 in November. So actually it's been about a year now that MACD has been bullish, and that's looking good. We could see a bull cross here of the stochastic. Hasn't happened yet, but it's very close. And then if we can get a close over that 10-week moving average there at 19 cents leading into next week, that would be all systems go in terms of the macro on the weekly time frame. But we have nothing nearby until 47 cents on the 50 weekly moving average. And then something I wanted to highlight as well is we're starting to see the moving averages on the daily time frame start to curl as well. A lot of names could potentially see a golden cross. That just means the 50-day moving average is below the 200 and it comes up and crosses up through that 200. So the 50-day crossing through the 200-day moving average is referred to as a golden cross, and that would be a huge bullish indicator and technical pattern that would be looking for. But once again, not expecting much out of these earnings. You can let me know in the comments below what you're expecting from these earnings. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Do you think we're going to see them on Friday, October 28th? Again, the 28th would be next Friday. So we'll want to see official, as always, we want to see official confirmation from HEXO, but I'm not holding my breath. I think that December and the first earnings into 2023 is going to be the time where we could see the whole sector reverse, and that would be very good for HEXO. We know that they could be cash flow positive some point between now and 2 to 3 quarters from now, potentially. And I would say probably close to 3, maybe 4. And then, as we know, all the impairments have been taken. All sales are now profitable. And things are really starting to look up. So going to end it there. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Have a great week as well. Again, I'll try to get videos out on Thursday, Friday next week. And I'll definitely be covering the earnings if we do get them on Friday. All right, going to end it there. It's Rob with Power Group. Thanks for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. And we'll see you again on the next video.